welcome back to Care is Everywhere, man. It's me, Anthony, aka the Ghetto Practitioner. I'm super excited to just to be alive today, and another gift of being alive is I get to meet some wonderful people around this journey. I know that care isn't just in hospitals or institutions, but it's like in conversations. It's in the pain and recovery and in all kinds of unexpected places and with people, places, and situations. And today, folks, I get the privilege of having my guest Fausto here. Fausto is called the Hope Dealer, and we're going to dissect into that. And so, without further ado, welcome to Cares Everywhere, Fausto.
And thank you for having me here, Anthony. You're somebody that I respect so highly, and I just love that you have a heart for the people.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. For our viewers out there who's just, for those who don't know, okay, there's a small few, I'm sure. But for those who don't know who Fausto is, the Hope Dealer, tell us who is the Hope Dealer.
Oh man, so the hope dealer used to be a dope dealer. We'll just say that, right? And I'm a clinical therapist now. I am a YouTuber, social media influencer, jump roper, peptide owner, just a person who just loves people and just always wants to find ways to make people's lives easier, whether that's financially, whether that's an opportunity, whether that's a listening ear, whether it's empathy. My whole life was full of so much pain, so much loneliness. And I always wish that somebody would just go out of their way to listen to me, to care about me, to go above and beyond for me. I want to be that for anybody and everybody that I come into contact with.
Okay, okay. And I know a lot of times people out there, they deal with trauma, and they deal
Mhm.
with it silently. How did trauma shape your identity early on?
Yeah, trauma for me, when it happened the first time, I blocked it out. So that's where I got to experience the when a trauma is so intense or heavy for a kid, it will block it out to survive. And so, very unconsciously for a while, I didn't realize that it was controlling the way that I view people, the way that I view the world, view myself. And so I found myself, trying to escape my reality. How do I not feel like me? Because I thought me was there something wrong. And so people pleasing was a coping mechanism, exaggerating, lying, manipulating, um, trying to find these ways to just get outside of myself because I thought something was wrong with me. And like the big trauma for me that I always speak like, very loudly about is being sexually abused by a boy when I was 7 and then being molested by an older man when I was 14 because those are my first sexual encounters. Like, think about it. Intimacy for me was based on being molested. It wasn't this whole typical, like, ooh, you get a girlfriend and then you're kissing and then, a little foreplay. And then one day it was like, oh, I bought a condom at the store. And we're going to, try this out. Now it's being molested. So my relationship with love, with intimacy was just totally skewed. And I remember for a long time, I thought like everybody knew. And because it was a male that did it to me, it made me question my sexuality. So, being young, trying to process all this stuff because I can't tell nobody, I thought, I'm trying to figure out how to fix this. And so, even like this obsession of having to have sex with women constantly was because I felt like if a woman would have sex with me, then I was never touched by a male. So you can imagine that's causing me to cheat on my partner if they're not having sex with me. It's causing me to settle for less. My codependency was driven by it. I thought all men or were going to do that to me, so I always kept a distance from male figures. And so, it caused a lot of pain and a lot of shame, and I felt like I was tainted. And that's why, like, drinking and drugs for me was the quickest way to get outside of that feeling, right? It was like the shortcut. I always say alcohol and drugs was my first spiritual experience,
Hmm.
was that because I felt comfortable in my skin. And so, yeah, trauma has really, controlled my life for a very long time.
Thank you. You know, folks, when we get into Cares Everywhere, we look not just on the surface, we peel back the onion. Because when we come to address or attempt to resolve some of these situations, we got to get down to the root. And the very first step is acknowledging and admitting and coming to realize and understand what has happened. And what has happened comes out in the open, no matter how embarrassed it is or how much guilt or shame. The way to heal is the way we feel, you know? I mean, it takes the feeling to present the healing. And that's tough sometimes. And so, what do you think people get wrong about trauma in this country?
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that trauma's not a thing, right? That's one thing you hear. You're seeking attention. You're making it a bigger deal. You need to get over it. So there's that one aspect. I think a lot of people too. Um, and don't get me wrong. I think a lot of people also use trauma as an excuse,
Oh,
right? I think that's a big problem. So people will use trauma as an excuse instead of an explanation, right? I always say trauma explains the behavior, it doesn't excuse it. And so I see why you have the old way of thinking of don't talk, don't trust, don't feel. We don't talk about that stuff. Trauma's not real mentality. Then you also have the people who are using it for an excuse, right? To why they are the way they are, and it does explain it, but also we need to be able to change it. So I think that's a big thing that people get. And also people got to realize like trauma is not what happens to you, it's what happens within you. So that's why two people can have the same traumatic experience from the same day, the same person, but one person becomes a doctor, the other person becomes a drug addict. Similarities in a sense of chasing something, whether it's success, status, whatever, almost chasing a high, right, of escapism. But I think that's what a lot of people get wrong is they don't think it's real, or people use it as an excuse.
okay, okay, okay. And you mentioned somewhere about drinking and using and all of that stuff. You want to tap into that on how that works with trauma or don't work with trauma?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, right? My whole goal was to not feel like myself because of what the trauma did, right? The anxiety, the anxiousness, the overthinking, the feeling the shame, uncomfortability. I mean, everything, right? I just felt like every moment of my life was just so uncomfortable. And so that's why behaviors like people pleasing, lying, manipulating, being funny, just chasing love, getting good at sports, validation, right? Like all that were the slow way to get outside of self. Where once I drank alcohol, it was like instant, right? Right when that buzz kicked in 10 minutes or less, it was like, whoa, I feel so at peace with myself, so comfortable, so happy, so alive. So it saved my life. It was like, oh, this liquid is what cures my trauma, let's just say, right? So it was a tool and nothing bad was happening in the beginning. You know what I mean? It was what I threw up maybe or bumped into something like laughing with my friends, said something stupid. Like it was all fun and games for for a while, and then this curiosity sparks obviously because when you're in that world of drinking, then you're gonna have somebody who smokes pot, who does ecstasy, right, who does cocaine, and then sometimes you'll find people now that are doing meth, doing pills. So it was just like this curiosity of like, hey, try this, like, okay, and then wow, ecstasy, whoa, this is the answer to all my problems. I feel love. I feel connected. Like I'm just having a great time. Like, man, everybody needs to take ecstasy. Like I feel great. So it was constantly this thing that made me feel comfortable in my skin. Now the problem is once the thing that was helping me stopped helping me and started hurting me. Now it's like, wow, the thing that helped me feel good now makes me feel like shit. But but there's hope that maybe if I do this much, or if I do it this way, or if I try something different, then maybe I'll get that sense of relief. And then sometimes you would, and then what ends up happening is it doesn't even work anymore. But the thought of maybe it will work is enough for me to try it again, even though I know it's not going to work, but I think it might work. And so that's the downfall, right? It's like it's a solution that will not fix it. And so that's the problem for me. It was a solution with the ignorance of not knowing what down the road was going to have for me. And then down the road, it just came to a place of causing even more trauma and more pain and more suffering. And now I have a thing called addiction on top of my trauma. You know what I mean? It's like, and so that's how it was for me.
Okay, okay, and that's really fascinating because you know when we think about addiction, of course, the other side of that is recovery. And what's really
Mhm.
fascinating because sometimes people get confused with sobriety and recovery.
Right.
Now, sobriety, you can stop drinking and using, but then when it comes to what's left after you're done anesthetizing, you took that shield away. Now we go back to the original
Mhm.
trauma,
Yep.
and that's where recovery comes into a play. And so, at what point in time did you discover that hey, there's hope available in all of this for you?
Yeah. So I remember it was in 2017. I've tried, I've had moments of not drinking and not getting high. I've had moments of that. And my solution was working out, get a girlfriend, get a job. Because deep down inside, I knew I had a problem. But it was in 2017 when, really bad breakup, again. And, I just self-destruct. And it was scary because nobody knew I had a problem. I was really good at hiding it, luckily. I was kind of like, I guess like you said, I'm a smart addict. But, it gets to a point where it's like that person's not going to cover my shift. Oh, crap, I don't have money for rent. Oh, crap, I've already borrowed from every single payday loan place in the county. I can't get any more money. Now I owe all this money. Oh my gosh, I'm having seizures, like grand mal seizures, 3 to 5 a day. Like this is like no joke, and I'm still not stopping. My mom has cancer, and I'm still not stopping. Like I'm stealing my sister's financial aid money. Like what is going on? And so suicide became this solution for me at this point because I felt so broken. Um, but for whatever reason, I just remember I remember I was at work and I was at the strip club for like 2 days straight, out of my mind on speed, didn't show up to work, and I had work on Monday, and I remember just going in with my head down, cleaning up the bar, and I know that conversation's gonna come from my boss. So my boss goes, "Hey, let's uh let's go in the office," and I knew I'm like, "Oh, now I'm gonna get fired." Like now it's affecting now I'm at that point I'm getting fired from jobs. And I remember just breaking down crying to my boss. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. I've been traumatized. I want to just die. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm scared. Like, just broke down. And for whatever reason, I know why now, but for whatever reason, in that moment, he was like, I want you to sign a contract. If you miss work one more time or mess up, you're fired. And I said, I promise I'm going to get help. And so I remember there was somebody at the restaurant I worked at that would come in as a regular, and he was a street magician. And I love magic, man. I love David Blaine. I was that kid, like sleight of hand, like I mean, girls like guys that could do magic. I thought so. This regular that would come in, I got to know him really well, and I remember his story was he made a Porsche car disappear and got so good at sleight of hand, where he was taking people's credit cards, that he got caught and went to prison, and then came out like a changed man, a godly man, sober man, married, kids. So after that conversation with my boss, I go, wait, I think that's the guy I need to hit up. He's a miracle. I need to ask him how he did it because I had no idea what AA was or rehab. Never been to a meeting, never even heard of it. So I hit him up and I told him everything that ever happened to me. He was the first person I told like everything to, and he read some scripture to me that what I took from what he said was that God gives his strongest battles to his strongest warriors. And so, I mean, I get goosebumps right now.
Huh.
And it was like a perception shift. Because again, I don't know anything about mindset or perspective. I don't know any of that stuff. So when he told me that, I go, wait, you telling me I went through all that because I was strong enough to go through for helping other people? He goes, yeah. I go, I never thought about it like that. Well, that changes everything. I'm like, that's cool. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. That's why all the bad stuff had to happen. I needed to understand that pain. So the childlike spirit that I've always had, because I've always been told, Foster, you're like a therapist. Because the one thing I've always been good at is caring about people and listening.
Hmm.
I've always been good at that. So in that moment, the spiritual high, the second one, right? The first one was alcohol. The second one was God. And I remember just being like, I don't know what I'm feeling right now, but I feel alive. I feel happy. I feel excited. Like I want more of this. If this is God, holy crap, like this is awesome. So my brain went, wait, there's a show called Rescue Me that I watch that I love with Dennis Leary. He goes to this thing called AA. I think that's where you go. So I went on my phone and I found the Fullerton Alano Club 11:30 podium meeting, and I just go, okay, I guess I'm going here tomorrow. And the night before I went on Instagram and Facebook and put all my vulnerability out there because in my brain I'm like, well, now I got to tell the world. I don't know about anonymity yet, so I put it out there. And the next day I go to a meeting, and they go, any newcomers here? And I go, what's that? And they look at me, is it your first time? I'm like, yeah. They go, do you want to go up? I go, oh, okay. So I go up to the podium and I share everything I've been through for the first time in front of a group of people. And I remember walking down that podium and this man coming up to me, looking in my eyes and being like, me too, and gave me a hug. And I was like, what? This happens to other people? Like, this is crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh, God is real. There is purpose to my pain because this meeting is incredible. And so the hope was there. And my mind literally went, I'm going to be a hope dealer. I'm going to save the world. I'm going to change the world. I'm going to go around and I'm going to document my whole journey. So that wild mindset shift, that I call it delusional maybe thinking that I'm going to save the world, but God knew I needed that type of intensity to be like, okay, I got to get a sponsor. I got to work my steps. Okay. And this is where the recovery kicks in, right? Work the steps. So it's like looking at myself, but I was obsessed with it. Oh, I got social anxiety. I totally forgot I had that. No wonder that's why I drank. Oh man, I'm shy and awkward. I don't know how to talk to a girl. I don't know how to talk to people. Oh my gosh, I overthink. Oh my gosh, I'm so like all this stuff came up, and then that's where the work started to get into play, was learning about recovery. So that's where the hope started for me.
Wow. Wow. That's deep, man. That. I knew there was a reason why we crossed paths, man. Because I totally understand. Just having that one person just trigger this whole thing. Yours happened with nutrition, and mine happened in different other ways. But and then you went to AA, and I talk about AA on my show. I do. That's just the way it is. And as long as, and I know it works for me, and
Right.
you're an example. It's working for you, and there's hundreds of thousands of other people out there. But what's really fascinating is that 'cause I grew up homeless and working night shifts and in forgotten communities and things like that. And so for people to how 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 do you speak to people who aren't have the title of a hope dealer? How do you help them become a hope dealer?
I always tell them, I go, hey, your story is your superpower. Share it wherever you go because no one could take that from you. And your story is unique to you. And your story will help other people heal. Your story will give you opportunities of a lifetime. And your story will protect you. And your story will give you purpose. So I say, if you want to be a hope dealer, all you got to do is just go around sharing your story by being vulnerable. And that's all it takes. People, when they look at my life and they're always like, man, like your life is so crazy. Like, what's the secret? I go, I just used to walk around telling people I got molested, try killing myself. I put meth up my asshole when I was in there running around naked on
Oh,
meth. I'm like, that's just what I do. I wear it on my shirt. I say it on my social media. I remember, I remember in the beginning, I would say it to everybody. I was at Ralph's grocery store. It's like an Albertsons, right? I was like 4 months sober, and the cashier was like, "How's your day going?" I'm like, it's going great. I used to be a drug addict. I was molested as a kid, tried killing myself, suicidal, been heartbroken and cheated on so many times. But now God's real, gave me purpose, and I'm here to save the world. And she's like, "Oh wow, okay, whoa, okay, well, your bananas are going to be 4.25." I'm like, oh, have a blessed day. So so that's what I tell people. It's like, dude, just share your story. Like that's, I don't even know. I always tell people, I don't even know what I'm doing still every day. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know how life works sometimes, but it just works out and it just gets better. And it's all because I just share my story wherever I go.
Wow, wow, that's cool. When you're saying that to supermarket clerk, I was thinking, yeah, again, well, your lettuce is $1.99, and have a good day. And because a lot of people these days, and I think it's a deficit in society. A lot of people are afraid of being themselves. We walk around
Mm.
trapped in a shell, wondering, well, who would understand? I guess nobody will, so I might as well feel bad all by myself. And you don't have to do that, and you can be a catalyst, as you explained, as you too can be a hope dealer just by being honest with yourself. And I like that. You touched on a little bit about God or spirituality or something of that nature, and there's some people here who've been wounded by religion.
Hmm.
What does faith look like to you?
Yeah, faith for me is just believing that what I feel God created me to be and to do is possible. That's really what it is. For me, it's really been a feeling. And I know a lot of people have been hurt by the church, right? Church hurt, God hurt, and I totally understand that. It's like people are not mad at God or hurt by God; they're hurt by people,
Hmm.
right? People's version of how they showed you God, whether it's an insecure God version, an angry God version, really just based on how that person was feeling and what that person thought to be true. So I'm always very big on like God will meet you where you're at. God is all things to all people. He knows how to morph himself into whatever we need. And so yeah, faith for me is just a personal relationship with God. Um, and it's just like, okay, God, like I feel, right? I could be wrong, but I feel like you want me to go this way and do this. I really do. Like I think about it, it feels right. I know I enjoy it. So I'm going to take action, right? Because after faith, now that's faith is a mindset, and then action follows it. And so it really comes down to, okay, if I want to, for example, if I want to be on Soft White Underbelly, because I really feel God wants me there, maybe I should try messaging him, right? First step, just message, send an email, let's try it. And I'll tell you what, it did not work. First year, nothing. Second year, nothing. Third year, nothing, right? But and then of course, I was doubtful, didn't have no face and whatever. It wasn't meant to be. Who did I think I was? I'm just this guy from Orange County. My story's not as cool as those people's. But then, once I let go of that and continued on my path of still, helping people and doing good, and then I'm at an event one day and I'm donating my time being of service at a fitness event. And somebody in the audience hits me up on Instagram and goes, "Hey, I heard your speech. I think you're amazing. I would love to connect with you. I would love to be able to speak at some places that you speak at." And so I look at his profile and I go, "Oh, damn, he was on Soft White Underbelly. I wonder if he could get me on." I don't want to ask him. You don't want no, don't ask. Even though he's asking me for connections, I don't want to ask. But you know what? I did. I go, "Hey, I'm down to hook you up with all my people. Do you think you can get me in contact with Soft White Underbelly?" He goes, "Oh, of course." And in 1 minute, I'm in a group chat with Mark. And a minute after that, I'm on a phone call with Mark. 10 minutes later, Mark goes, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I know you've been trying to hit me up for 3 years." I go, I got all nervous. I'm like, "Oh, that wasn't me. That wasn't me." He goes, "It just wasn't the right time, but the right time is now." And it happened. So that's what faith is to me. And faith is, I believe this is to be true. So let me figure out what I got to do practically to get there and just never give up because it may not be the right time or you may not have the right way of going about it, but it will happen.
And I believe you. And my story is something similar. I was sitting watching television with somebody singing Soft White Underbelly. And like, oh, this is a good show. I watch it all the time. I'm like, you know what? I know somebody that's been on there. My my dude Fausto, man, I hope they're like, seriously, you're right. I'm like, no, seriously. And I go, watch this. And I text her like, hey man, can you hook you up? Like, I'll be right back after these messages. And next thing you know, I'm on the show. And so it's fascinating how when you're doing the right thing, heading in the right directions, the people that will join you in your journey, and it's not like what could we do for each other is what we can do with each other.
Right.
People get kind of confused about that, and I thought that was pretty cool. And again, thank you for that hookup.
Yeah.
Um, One of the things you shared as well, because you're multifaceted, you get involved in a lot of stuff. You're counseling and things like that. Um, what do you think about working in mental health? I work in behavioral health, and you work in mental health. For other people out there that work in mental health, how do you not become so exhausted with dealing with the overwhelming emotions and day to day stuff?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would say is that industry is not for everyone. And that's okay, right? That's okay. Not everybody's meant to be a professional football player, basketball player. Like, that's okay. Not everybody's meant to be a parent. Some people don't want kids, and that's okay. So, working in the mental health world too, it's not for everybody. And I say if you want to go that route, it's going to take a lot of patience, a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy, and you got to have the desire to want to understand the people
Mm.
because they're very complex personalities that you're dealing with, right? Common sense is not common sense. Practical ways about going about things is not practical in these situations. And so you really got to have a heart for people. And usually it's people who have their own mental health issues, were raised around a family member or loved one mental, like something usually connects them to why they want to be in this field because they get it. They know what they want to be that person that can love them where they're at, right? To give them a chance. So that's one of the big things you need to have. And then what comes down to if you're built for it, the next thing is self-care because compassion fatigue is real. And burnout and compassion fatigue are different. Burnout is just being stressed out, you're doing a lot, okay. But compassion fatigue is the emotional draining, you're emotionally drained because it's a lot. And so if you're not careful with knowing how to not bring work with you home, knowing how to have boundaries at work, like, hey, when I'm off, I'm off. And also trying not to be that person, because usually we're the type of people that take that type of care everywhere we go. Whether you have mental health problems or not, we're that person for everybody. And so it's so important to be able to be like for example, like for me, my self care time is I go to the gym, I listen to music, I do a sweat house, which is a 1 hour sweet cold plunge, infrared sauna, vitamin C shower, and I take a lot of vacations when I can to relax. You know what I mean? I have like this form, and I've also learned, which is hard for me, but I've learned to be very wise with where I go because if I want to rest, but I want to go to a church event, I can't get mad that everybody wants to talk to me. It's like I'm there. That's what's going to happen, right? A meeting, that's what's going to happen. So now I have to be very wise to be like, you know what? I really want to go to that church event, but I don't have the energy to talk to people. So I'm going to stay home. And I'm not going to feel guilty that I didn't go to this event because I just don't have the energy. So boundaries is everything for self care in that world.
Okay, okay. Is make sure your cup has been emptied before you can get in a situation in which it gets full again. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Okay, and so if somebody's listening to us right now who feels stuck in addiction or trauma or mental illness, homelessness, whatever, what would you want them to hear today?
Hmm. I would say the first thing I want to let them know is, hey, just know that you matter. Know that all these things that you're struggling with, that maybe you don't understand why you're going through it or have to deal with it or have to experience it. And just know that there's purpose to all of it if you give yourself an opportunity to believe that a part of your story is to help out people through all these painful situations. And if you can believe that, then just start being vulnerable. Find a support group. Find a group of people to help. Post about it. Write about it. Find a community and start serving others through what you've been through. Because people need to hear your story. There's people that are praying right now for help, and you're that person that they need. But you just got to believe. And if you don't believe it, then surround yourself with people who believe in you until you can believe in yourself. And that's what I'd want to say.
Okay, okay. Whew. And we covered a lot of ground today, man. It's been deep and impactful and just there's so much, it's fascinating because when I get hit with such goodness, I have to restore it in the back of my subconscious so I can retrieve it later and marinate on it. I just try to keep it real. Where can What's going on with you today? Share with my viewers. Where can we get a hold of you? Where can we see your stuff? Tell us all about that.
Yeah, so right now I got a lot of stuff going on from, a lot of speaking engagements, a lot of, you know, touring and traveling. But for people that want to get connected with me, I have a YouTube channel, Hope Dealer Fausto. And right now I have a podcast on there called Vulnerable Reps. So aside from having like therapeutic topic videos on different things like how to stop overthinking, how to work through social anxiety, how to break codependency, I have a never before done podcast style where it's like workouts and deep conversations and basically the concept of it is I step into the person's world. So I choose athletes, I choose actors, I choose musicians, I choose pastors. I go into their world to get vulnerable with them, and then they let me go into their psyche and in their mind to be able to share their vulnerable story. And so, if you want to check that out, we have stories on cancer, suicide, addiction, just tons of powerful, heavy stories, right? And also, all my social media links are Hope Dealer Fausto on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook. And then I'm also part of Journey to Solutions, where we have a podcast called the Journey to Solutions Podcast. And that one's a sit down podcast where we interview people from all walks of life who've overcome the impossible with the power of God. And that's a really good one. So that's what I got going on right now.
Okay, good. And I'm glad you put that out there. Folks, make sure you check out where you can find him. Look at some of the stuff. I heard never before seen or never before done. That felt like a dun 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 dun. I was like, okay, it's something new and fresh. It was like, I gotta go check that out. And you know, before we close on, I want to bring this up because I don't know, people might not know this, but Fausto is the world's fastest jump roper. Tell us about that, man. Give us a little taste of it.
Yeah, so and it's crazy, right? So when I got sober in 2017, one of my coping tools was going to the gym as much as I could. Like, I didn't know where else to go. All I did was go to the bars and party. So I would just go to the gym for like 5 hours a day just to kill time until it's nighttime to go to sleep. And so in my bag, I had a jump rope. And so in my mind, I went, again, the crazy thinking, I was like, wait a minute, maybe I'm supposed to get really good at jump rope and I'm going to beat my addiction with the jump rope, right? Again, just a crazy mindset that I had. And so I said, okay, well, who made this jump rope? And I look at it, it says Buddy Lee. I go, oh, okay, Buddy Lee, the number one jump roper in the world. I go, well, I guess I'm going to have to tell him one day his jump rope saved my life. So I better get really good at jump rope. And so I literally was just jumping rope to cope
Huh.
because it gave me hope, right? And and like that. And I was just jumping rope every day, like obsessively, right? Just crying, jumping rope, crying, I don't know what to do, just jumping, jumping, jumping. And I was making videos on Instagram because I was documenting my sobriety journey. And before you know it, within a couple months, people were like DMing me, like, "Man, you're so fast, you're so good." I'm like, "Really?" And then I was like, whoa, there's a whole bunch of jump ropers. Like, there's this whole jump rope world, right? Like a jump rope universe. And like, I was like, well, this is crazy. So I was just jumping rope every day. And then one day there's this jump rope contest in Venice Beach. I had like 8 months sober. And I'm like, I have to go to this, right? It's part of my journey. I got to go to this jump rope contest. And it's called Rush Athletics. He came from England out here for a jump rope meetup. Well, he made the jump rope for Floyd Mayweather. So I go to this thing and I'm meeting all these jump ropers for the first time. And then the number one jump rope channel is called Official Jump Rope Dudes. Well, they were there because he was going to meet the guy from England and they're going to collab. So they're there. We're all there. They do a jump rope contest, a double under one. And, I go, okay, cool. So we're doing it. And I win. I beat everybody. And I'm like, oh damn! And it was one of the first times I felt that like a celebrity. All the jump ropers like, oh man, who are you, bro? I gotta get your number, bro. What's your Instagram? And I'm like, whoa, this feels so cool. So then that number one jump rope channel said, hey, can we do a story on you? They did a story on me on YouTube, and then from that, the number one jump roper in the world, Buddy Lee, who's from DC, Olympic athlete. I saw he was doing a jump rope seminar in Monrovia. right here, in California. And I was like, oh my gosh, here's my opportunity to tell him his jump rope saved my life. So I get there, but unfortunately, he was not there. It was one of his people that work under him on his team. So I get a little sad. But then the guy goes, "Hey, you're Fausto." I go, "You know me?" He goes, "Hold on," and he gives me the phone, and it's Buddy Lee. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" He goes, "Hey, Fausto, like, I just want to let you know, I know who you are. I love what you're about. I just wanted to make sure you are true to what you were saying." So I kind of watched from afar. He goes, "I'm going to be having something in DC in a couple months. I want you to come on out." I go, "Oh my gosh!" So a year into my sobriety, uh, I get this opportunity. But I needed to get a flight, I needed to get a hotel, and I needed to have the money to get there. And because I only had about a year sober, I had no money still. I'm terrible with money. So I'm all mad and crying. And again, I'm not the person to ask, "Hey, can you fly me out there?" I'm not that person. So my client saw me all mad, and they go, "Why don't we just give you a GoFundMe? You help out everybody. Why can't we help you?" I go, "I don't want to do that." They go, "We'll make it." I go, "Okay, if you want to make it." Within 1 hour, people donated for my whole trip. I'm in DC. We do this whole jump rope certification class. I'm right there with Buddy Lee in person. After the whole seminar is done, he goes, "Fausto, you come with me." Takes me to Benny Hanna, just me and him. He goes, "Fausto, just want to let you know, we were going to pay for your flights. We were going to pay for your hotel and everything. But once we saw you post that GoFundMe, we kind of just took a step back to see what you would do with it." I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "So, Fausto, what do you want to ask me?" I go, "Buddy Lee, your jump rope saved my life." And from that moment on, he took me under his wing. He trained me, brought me on the team. I got certified level 3 and became one of the fastest, craziest athletic jump ropers in the world. That's taking me places and contests and talent shows. And it's just one of those things that it helps me kind of just stay grounded. And it's always nice to get a little fun attention at the gym.
Wow. Oh, as long as I've known you, I always wanted to know the story behind that, and thank you. It's when you said you jump rope to cope to have hope. That man, you heard it. You heard that first here, folks. No, you haven't. Probably heard it somewhere else. But anyway, you got it straight from the Hope Dealer's mouth, folks. I'm super excited. I could go on and on and on again, sharing conversations with this fantastic individual, and I know him up close and personal. He's the real deal. Okay, there's no sugarcoating it. There's no flouncing. There's nothing deep down inside. This is the Hope Dealer Fausto. Again, if we want to get a hold of some of your stuff, tell us again, how can we find your stuff?
Hope Dealer Fausto on all social media platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, guys. Reach out to me, check out my stuff, and I promise you I will get back to you.
All right. And folks, that's about all the time we got for today. This is me, Anthony Brown, aka the Ghetto Practitioner. Just letting you know that care is everywhere. Until next time, we'll see you around. Have a great day.